Welcome to the F3 Knoxville family of podcasts. All right, and welcome to this new episode of Beyond the COT, an F3 Knoxville podcast. This is Davis Bodie, 34 Blindside, coming at you for my first solo show. Here on Mondays, I'm going to be dropping the Beyond the COT podcast. We will be talking about AO of the month, interviews with hymns. We'll be talking a little bit of some F3 stuff with the nation and now F3 International. Beyond the COT's got to be anything and everything you need to move on after the workout in the Gloom. I'm going to let this music fade out and we'll get started with the show. Okay, here it is. My first show with Beyond the COT. I want to kind of start out each month talking about AOs of the month. So I've kind of planned out where I've gone to about half of the AOs in Knoxville, but you know, I need an excuse to get out to some of these other ones. I live out in West Knoxville, attend the Equalizer and Dog Pound regularly, but some of these out north, east, downtown, I really need to get to. So I decided to come up with this idea of AOs of the month, and throughout the month I'm going to highlight different aspects of them, interview with some regulars, the AOQ, and actually not only go and attend a workout, but actually cue a workout at each location. So March of 2022, the AO of the month, might as well start with the first one. So Asylum AM is going to be the first AO of the month. So a little bit of information about the Asylum AM. Currently, the AOQ there is Rainbow. Rainbow's a great guy who I've got to know over the past couple months. They meet Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 6:15 a.m. And it seems that there is a little secret mall walker 5 to 6:15 a.m. Workout there on Monday mornings. Saturday mornings, we have a 7 to 8 a.m. workout. That's one I attend pretty regularly on Saturdays. It's a good group of guys that meet in the parking lot by the baseball fields. You'll notice I mentioned that this is the Asylum AM AO. I know that there's those group of fake gloomers out there that meet in the Asylum PM, but we'll come back to them in a later month. In my time going to the Asylum AM, I see a wide variety of different guys, different levels of fitness, and different types of cues. They have a pavilion there for rainy workouts. There's plenty of hills for running. And there's countless different named locations all over the park. When I was first, I've actually queued there during the week and on Saturdays in the past, and I have reached out to many of the guys there trying to figure out the names and the locations from the Caribbean to the Coliseum and the newly minted Lily Pad. There once was a stack of CMUs hidden around there, but it seems that they were a little too ugly for the park, that along with chalk on the sidewalk. So there are no CMUs at the Asylum. So usually the queue puts out on Slack if you need to bring them before a workout. I actually will be queuing out there on Wednesday, March 9th. I hope to see a lot of guys out there in the Gloom. So Asylum AM is March 22's AO of the month. Speaking of the Asylum AM and Saturday workouts, this past Saturday we had a CSAUP at the Asylum AO. A CSAUP is something that is completely stupid and utterly pointless. And while that title is hilarious and appropriate somewhat, I don't think that the two CSAUPs that I have experienced here in F3 Knoxville are completely stupid and utterly pointless. Now, getting up extra early on a Saturday, working out for 2.5, 3 hours straight, listening to others that telling me what to do for 2.5 hours straight. Listen, I get all that at home. I that is completely stupid and utterly pointless. But coming out of a CSAUP, I realized last time at the dog pound last summer and after yesterday's CSAUP that it wasn't completely stupid and utterly pointless. The point was getting together with a group of like-minded guys, wanting to work out, wanting to get better physically, pushing ourselves. I think my Clydesdale group ran 5.5 miles on Saturday, and so that's not pointless. Might be stupid, not pointless though. I got to know the guys in my group a whole lot better. I've worked out with Lily Dipper plenty of times, but this was 2.5, 3 hours of mumble chatter with him and Dung Beetle and others that I just don't see often or don't work out often with. Pusher was there in my group, and he pushed us and we pushed him up Everest especially. And then Dr. Feelgood was from Brickyard, someone I hadn't worked out with. It was awesome to see him and to meet him and to get to know him throughout the CSAUP. And then Matlock, someone who I've worked out with quite a bit, but getting to know him a little better and having great mumble chatter, and also as we're crisscrossing, zigzagging our way around the park, seeing the other groups go by and yelling out encouragement and yelling out other things to try to get them to slow down because everybody wanted to win. But CSAUP's such a good name and funny name, and a great thing to tell your friends that aren't in F3 that it's completely stupid and utterly pointless. But coming out of it, I don't know if it is. I enjoy it every time. I am sore as can be. It takes me about a half an hour to get up off the couch this Sunday afternoon. But it was awesome, and it was good fellowship before, during, and after the CSAUP. And major shout outs to those guys that planned this. Pele with the story, the create your own adventure story that was just fantastic. The logistics by Gibbler and Rainbow of allowing us to be out at the Asylum for upwards of 4 hours in total, and making sure everything was set up right, and the stations and all the supplies that we needed at each station. T-claps to those guys. They killed it. It was awesome. I loved every second of that stupid adventure that we were on. So this is like I said, it's the second CSAUP that I've been involved with. The first one was a team of 3 event at the dog pound that I got to work out with Ribbed and Stripped on, and at that point I had probably been working out with them for several months, but it was during that CSAUP that I was able to get to know those guys a little better as we were getting lost through the woods over there at the dog pound. And just like then with this CSAUP, who we didn't get to pick our teams, we just kind of picked our categories, and I was super excited and super happy to be with those guys that I talked about earlier. Shout out to Crawdad. Crawdad was the photographer of the day. Not only did I think he's exceed our limit on Slack with a number of pictures you can send at one time, but the record there, the pictorial record of the 2022 Asylum AM CSAUP is can't be beat. And even though we didn't get the greatest sunrise in America that we thought we wanted, we still had a great time competing in the CSAUP, having great fellowship, incredible. Oh yeah, don't forget the pork afterwards. That was incredible. Thank you to all those guys that planned the CSAUP, that attended and pushed myself and everyone there. Thank you guys. That was an awesome time. I can't wait to do something else completely stupid and utterly pointless. And I know that the rest of the guys that were there feel the same. And if you're ever kind of wary about doing something, a CSAUP like that's 3.5 hours, and you may think there's no way I can do it. One of the things that I love about F3 is that modify as necessary. There was plenty of times where, we didn't run the whole way from one station to the other. We didn't do those Merkins perfectly. We dropped down to our knees when we needed to. We pushed ourselves. We did more than we thought we could, but when it got down to it, we did what we needed to do as well. So if you're ever kind of on the fence on one of these longer workouts, these longer events, you got to come out and try it. I never thought I could do something like that, like these last two CSAUPs that I've participated in. And it just is one of those things that keeps me getting better, both mental toughness and physical toughness. And then it's just a great excuse to talk to and fellowship with these guys for several hours on a Saturday morning or whenever. So, thanks again to those guys. And if you're ever thinking about doing one, do it. Just do it. It is awesome, and it is a great experience. One of the things that I'll be doing on the Beyond the COT podcast is interviewing hymns from around Knoxville and beyond each month. Sometimes I'll have 2, 3, hopefully maybe even 4 interviews a month. But I think it's only fair to start with an interview with me, Blindside. I'm going to be the voice in your ear on this podcast for a while, so hopefully you get to know me a little bit better through this. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on me and my F3 journey. Don't worry, I'm not going to go back and forth like I'm actually interviewing myself. I kind of tried that back and forth, but the editing is just too much. So I am going to work from the basic list of questions that I'm going to be asking to others that come on the podcast. So a little bit about me. I'm Davis Bodie, 34, Blindside, as you've probably already heard several times now. Currently, I'm a high school administrator in Knox County. I spent over 10 years in the classroom at both public and private schools from grades 5 through 12. I was born and raised here in Knoxville. I went to Knoxville Catholic High School, and in 2006, I left to go to Emory and Henry College in Virginia. I played football there and graduated with a bachelor's degree in American history and a master's degree in education. So anybody that's been to my Qs know that there's sometimes a history element involved, and most of the time there is some education tricks and tips that I do that is very similar to teaching kids in a classroom. Mostly it's wrangling guys like Choir Boy, Aladdin, and Snitch at the Equalizer. Currently, though, I'm finishing up a PhD in Ed Leadership and Policy Studies with UT Knoxville. So hopefully by this summer it will be Dr. Blindside. I'm married with 5 kids, 3 girls and 2 boys, with ages ranging from 6 to 16. We're a blended family, and my wife and I will be celebrating 4 years of marriage this July. And now to talk a little bit about my F3 journey. This week, March 1st, I will have been attending F3 workouts for 1 year. I actually first learned about F3 8 months before I started posting during the summer of 2020. I noticed that a couple of my friends on Facebook were also friends, and I had no clue how these two guys knew each other. Until I realized that they both liked the F3Knoxville Facebook page. I started following the social media pages. I started watching the pictures that posted every day. I looked through the website just a little bit, and I watched videos and kind of remembered one of my buddies, Dimples, who I'm still trying to get back out. He's one of those elusive cotters that needs to come back out. I was starting to watch these come through and realize this might be something I need to do. See, I was a football player in high school and in college. I know how to work out. I just didn't do it very well on my own. After college, a few years after college, I began running and meeting with a nutritionist each month. That allowed me to lose over 100 pounds in the fall of 2014, going into the spring and summer of 2015. 5 years later from that, I had gained most of that 100 pounds back. I like to say that I lost 100 pounds, but I found 70 of them. Once my diet slowed down and stopped from meeting with the nutritionist, my running fell off too. While I had established a great routine in 2014 and 15, I just never could get back into that routine. So about 8 months after first hearing about F3, I decided to show up on a Monday morning, March 1st, 2021, at 5:30 in the morning at Carl Cowan Park. I showed up at the Equalizer that morning on one of the wettest, rainiest days of the year. Fortunately, I was told pretty quickly that we were going to drive up to the pavilion at the splash pad there at the park. But we did not stay there the whole time. Doubtfire was on cue that morning, so if you've ever experienced a Doubtfire cue, you know that the exercises and routines pretty much took us wherever he felt like it. We did some Tabata-style exercises under the pavilion on the benches to stay off the wet ground, and then ran down to the dock when the rain slowed. I'm still not convinced that the rain actually ever slowed down. When it was time to name me, I had no idea what I was in for. I thought F&G stood for effing new guy. I was really confused. I told the guys about myself, my journey in life, my journey in faith, my jobs, and then fitness. And there was nothing really standing out to them. No names really came out. You know, sometimes in the circle you can get all kinds of names thrown out, but there was nothing really coming to them. Then someone asked for an embarrassing story. So I told them about the time I taught an entire 8th grade U.S. history lesson while being observed by an administrator. For those of you not familiar, this happens about, between 4 and 6 times a year where you teach a lesson and an administrator will be in there kind of evaluating what you do. As the kids were leaving, I was thinking how great the lesson actually was. The kids were engaged, firing off answers to my amazing prompts, and worked diligently without distraction when they needed to. So on the way out, my assistant principal stopped at the door and said something. And she didn't say, "Great lesson. Those kids were great. I love the preparation. I love the questionings." No, she didn't say anything like that. She just looked at me and said, "I don't mean to blindside you here, but your zipper's been down this whole lesson." Then she left. Needless to say, Blindside stuck. So I came back to the Equalizer that Wednesday. I might have missed Friday, but since then, the only thing keeping me away from the Equalizer or another Knoxville AO for more than a week have been vacations, which I did post downrange. I have posted downrange to the guys at F3 Low Country there in Hilton Head, South Carolina. So vacations and then COVID in January. It took about a month and a half for me to queue for the first time. I thought it was going to be a lot longer than that, but on April 1st, 2021, we were celebrating the 2nd anniversary of the Equalizer, as well as a shovel flag changeover between Doubtfire and Stripped as AOQ. It was by far the largest workout I had ever attended. With over 40 guys there to support Stripped and the guys at the Equalizer, I knew I needed to step up and lead as well. So I signed up to queue. I dove right in, actually, and signed up for 8 Fridays in a row. While some of those first queues weren't great, and I had to adapt routines, change rep counts, and at one point cancel half of the workout entirely because of time, it feels great to lead guys in a great workout, and I hope to actually do that one day. Some guys have told me recently that I bought F3 hook, line, and sinker, and I tend to agree. I've spent too much money on F3 gear, too much time planning cues and writing backblasts. And for those of you who don't know, backblasts are where you post to the website what you did at the beatdown that day. Some of you cues need to remember that. And then I even went so far as to take over this F3 Knoxville family of podcasts. And with what time am I doing all of this? I'll tell you that it is important to me. I have the time. I just have to find it. Just like my family at home, my F3 family in the Gloom is important to me. I care about how Rib's wife's recovery is doing. I want to know about Tonka's first graders. I love hearing about different job successes, and I even pray with and for those that have failures in their lives. F3 is my second family, and if queuing, writing back blasts, doing this podcast, or even just being there with my brothers in the Gloom is helping them, then it is helping me. I'm a better husband, father, Christian, teacher, leader, administrator, and man because of my F3 family. I absolutely love every time I'm out there in the Gloom, every time I see an F3 sticker on the back of a car, every time I peruse the Twitter sphere for what other regions are doing. I love the community, the family, the brotherhood aspect of F3. And to be perfectly honest, it might have saved my life. Before coming to F3, I was lonely, and I didn't know it. All of my friends from high school and college, I'm not close with anymore, and those that I am, they live far away. When my grad school buddies have moved away since graduating, yes, they graduated before me. That's not a sore subject at all. But I didn't realize how lonely I was in having male friendship, and F3 has brought that to me. I jump at every chance I can to go to a workout, to go to a CSAUP like I talked about earlier. I really regret not being able to do Hardship Hill this past year, but stuff like that, really gets me going. And me finding rucking most recently, I see a whole nother level of fellowship and friendship that comes from that, because while Mumble Chatter is great and working out is awesome together, rucking and rucking style workouts even can really help form those bonds and make those friendships last. And so I was alone and didn't realize it, and now I've got some of my best friends, some of the best inside jokes, outside jokes, just some of the best times happen in the Gloom for me. And so I always say that F3 really helped me keep going and to become the better husband, better father, and all those things that I didn't even know that I needed. And it has allowed me to get great examples of hymns around Knoxville and around the F3 Nation, seeing their dedications to their families, to their friends, to their faith, and all of those things. It really helps put into perspective and how I can continue to grow. So, that's me and my F3 journey. I hope to continue to grow that. I love pretty much everything about this organization in Knoxville and in the F3 Nation as a whole. I consume the podcasts as soon as they come out with my 30-minute commute each way, each day. So, I really love this, and I love learning about it. And that's F3 for me. Sometimes, after interviews or after near the end of the Beyond the COT podcast, I'm going to talk about some of those F3 things, whether it's the 8 block or the minivan Centurion or stuff worth trying that I hear about on the Nation podcast. I just want to share that here and hear about you guys learning about it and growing from it. So that's me. Okay, so that's the show. I successfully survived my first solo podcast. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for indulging me in this task of taking over the F3 podcast. Remember, the Beyond the COT will be coming out every Monday. We also have on Wednesday the first episode of Picking Up the Six. So this will be a little bit shorter, and I'm going to go over six terms that are often used by F3 guys in the Gloom, and then also 6 exercises. So 6 from the F3 lexicon and 6 from the F3 exicon. On Fridays, we also have Mumble Chatter, which is kind of the newsletter between the newsletters for F3 Knoxville. So any news and notes that'll come out, I'll drop that on Friday. If you have anything for the news and notes, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter account is at F3_Blindside. I look forward to hearing from you all. Thanks, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you for listening to this F3 Knoxville podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review in your favorite podcast app to help us grow the show. And share this with any sad clown in your life that might need a little F3 to get them going.